One thing I would like to get out of the way is my use of the word convert. You know, sometimes you get into a big debate, convert, revert, new Muslim, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, it really doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. But I want to just express that I use this word specifically because the definition of convert, it fits what people go through when they enter into Islam, and you spend years changing your worldview, your beliefs, your daily habits of life, your lifestyle, you know, your politics. You know, it's a conversion process that takes a lot of work and is often very difficult. But I avoid using revert because I don't believe in the concept that started on, in which it was stated that human beings are born as Muslims and they venture away from Islam and then they may revert and turn back to Islam. This is actually, in my opinion, is not correct. The hadith state that human beings are born on fitrah. And there's a difference, just in the sense that being a Muslim, at some point in your life, you have to make a conscious decision to do that. And you're not born knowing about 5 times daily salah or knowing Surah Al-Fatiha or anything else, okay? And I don't use the word new Muslims also because to me it kind of implies that if we have a new Muslim program, it means somebody who came into Islam in the last 6 months, okay? And that is really not an issue because we are forgetting converts who have been honestly in difficulties, who were the pioneer converts in this country, and that goes back for decades. So that's the reason that I will use this word convert, and I hope it doesn't bother anybody. You know, if we think about the overall Muslim community, we can say, well, we've made progress. When I entered Islam, we had 3 or 4 masajid in the Metroplex. Now we have over 50. Okay, we had no Islamic schools. Now we have Islamic schools. We have institutes of learning. But from the convert perspective, when we see that the problems we had 25, 30, 35 years ago are still prevalent, then in that particular sector of the community, we've made little or no progress. I picked up the phone and called a mufti that I had known about up in Chicago, and I just put this question to them: what are the rights of a convert? Okay? You know, I feel like I've been alone in this life since I was 20 years old, and I left my family back in Oklahoma, and I, you know, became Muslim. I moved down here. I've been here now 28 years, and there's very little support. I can never get a problem solved. There has been no preparation, no plan. What are my rights? And the answer was, and he was correct, he said that converts really do not have specific rights, okay? And he's talking about the aspect from Islamic law, and the initial answer is that when you enter Islam, you acquire the rights of a Muslim, okay? So then, now it becomes a, you know, and I had to continue thinking about his response, and honestly, it made me angry, and I talked to him a little bit over a few months, and they at least were aware that there are issues, you know, and they informed me that there had been like a phone survey up in Chicago. They had some people calling converts, calling American Muslims up on the phone and trying to kind of assess if they were still active in Islam. And that's where they found out, or at least in their opinion, that about 70% of the converts had, you know, either left Islam or had left the community, and I prefer to think of it that way, really. I don't think that many converts give up their Islamic beliefs, but it is very common that converts will give up being a part of the community and may even give up trying to live the Islamic life, and it may happen several times throughout your life. You give up, and then you go back and try again, and you give up and go back and try again. And so they were the ones who came up with this 70% figure. But then I continued with this question in my mind, then, okay, what is going wrong here? And I began, kind of developing my own thoughts and my plans for what would improve things in the community. The idea kind of jumped in my mind that we could start a Facebook group to let the converts in the community connect. In those discussions then, I was able to kind of have a bird's eye view of the scope of problems that converts face, okay? Now, there are converts, alhamdulillah, that seem to be doing fine, okay? And that's very good. And there are those of us who are doing fine at times, and then we have our difficulties at times, okay? But there are converts who have very serious difficulties, and there are patterns. And when you look at 200 or 300 cases, and you identify that there are certain things going on over and over and over again in the lives of many, many, many converts, okay, then you identify, okay, we have a problem here, and it needs to be addressed. And so that's where we're at, and this is from experience, and it is from the discussions, at least, that other converts have had in that social media environment. And of course, one of the things, and this actually goes back, I think we've made some headway on this, is the issue of community follow-up. Okay, when a person comes in and recites the Shahada, then who takes over? Okay, who's in charge at that point? Because the convert comes in, they don't know what's next. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing next. They don't know anybody. They don't know Islam. They don't know what's next. And if somebody doesn't proactively step in and be a friend, a brother, a sister, a mentor, a good companion, then that person may turn right around and walk right out the door of the masjid. You may never see them again, and I've seen it happen, okay? We are doing a bit better in that, but still I don't think we have established a formal response to that situation. We do not have a proactive program for follow-up. Converts have a lot of times difficulties learning Islam with clarity because there is so much confusion in the community. Muslims themselves have been away from Islam for a long time. It's hard to learn Islam clearly from Muslims. And then, of course, you have the sects and so on and so forth. Transitions coming into Islam, a lot of converts will have conflicts with family members, with their friends. And a lot of times, you go through a period in which you're trying to be serious about your deen, and your old buddies were, drinking and smoking and doing this and that, and you decide to cut that out of your life. Well, for a lot of us, depending on our background, that means all our old friends are gone, okay? And so you begin this transition of kind of losing your old society. And the thing is that a lot of times you don't fully gain a new society. You don't fully gain a new society. You're a Muslim, you should belong to the Ummah now. But there are other barriers. There are the cultural barriers. There are the fact that the vast majority of Muslims are really not doing much for their deen anyway. And especially, I believe, Muslim men. Okay, sisters have a different set of problems in some situations. Men have a different set of problems. A lot of Muslim men do not make time to work in their community and do not make time to be brothers for their brothers. Okay? So the social disconnect is really one of those things that's at the heart of this. A lot of converts have difficulty feeling included. The matters that I tend to focus on are the issues of life establishment, because that is critical. If a person comes into Islam and cannot make a living, then are they, what's going to happen? Are they going to be homeless? Are they going to die? Because I've seen both. Okay? Are they going to go out and start dealing drugs? What are they going to do? How do they establish their lives? And do you have the same opportunities within the Muslim community that you would have had before? The issue of marriage is huge, and I'm going to get more into that later, but these are the life establishment issues. I'm not really, myself, I'm not that focused on the matters of knowledge and learning Islam. That is a big issue, but honestly, to me, I see that most converts slowly, piece by piece, are going to pick up their deen at their pace. To me, the critical things is how are they doing in their personal lives? Are they establishing themselves in strength, or are they weak and broken and running from one calamity to the next and ending up with their lives in a state of destruction? Okay, and that is very common. Converts have, a lot of times, you go through this kind of identity issues of, going through a major, psychological intellectual transition. You have different beliefs now. It's like, you're living in a different world where there is Allah, and there is the akhir, there's the hereafter, and you have a concrete way of learning about Allah's message and Allah's messenger. It's not like what you had before when it was a bunch of guesswork about the Bible and Jesus and what did God really teach. Okay, Islam is very concrete and very solid. And so your perceptions of the world around you go through very rapid changes, okay? And your life habits will change. Again, your social environment changes radically. And you don't know how much of your old culture and your old habits can you hang on to, and what do you need to let go of, and so you're kind of floating and trying to redefine yourself as a human being again. And then you're in an environment in which most culture is not our native culture. Okay, you go into the masjid, it's people from different cultures. And you have a tendency to kind of lose yourself. And then, of course, the issues of being confused over what is really important and what is not. Converts coming in the first few years, it's like everything you hear, it's all the same priority level. Well, I have to do that, or I have to avoid that. But Islam actually teaches at least 5 different levels. Something is obligatory, or it is preferred, or it is acceptable, or it is disliked, or it is forbidden. But it takes a convert time to learn that. And so that transition of redefining the self and redefining the lifestyle, it takes a lot of time and is very difficult. And now when it comes to the issue of marriage, okay, and this is huge. I will make a statement, and I hope that we don't have a whole lot of disagreement about it, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that the marriage institution in the convert community is a train wreck. It's a disaster. Marriages that honestly should not have happened right from the beginning were made for the wrong reasons, the wrong intentions, okay? Or were just not well thought out, and there was not good guidance from anybody in the community. Hey, slow down a little bit and just think about what your life is going to be, what's really important, da-da-da-da-da. Because there are green card marriages, there is spousal abuse, there is, again, just the general lack of guidance in marriage and how to set up, how to go out and look for a marriage that you can anticipate will succeed, because the divorce rate is very, very, very high. Okay? And we don't have qualified marriage counseling during marriage. So we don't have a system to make that marriage connection right from the beginning. You're pretty much on your own. Oh, brother, make dua. Allah will send you a good wife. And I'm sure they tell the sisters the same thing. And you're thinking like Mary Poppins, okay? My wife I'm going to make dua, and she's going to come down floating, out of the sky. This is one thing that really needs institutional solutions, okay? It's something that has to be set up in the community and handled intelligently. It is a major part of the human life. And you don't want, okay, let me throw this out there. I've been a Muslim 28 years. From the 28 years I've been in Islam, I've spent 17 years without marriage. Okay? 17 years. That's the kind of thing that can happen. And we've got sisters raising children by themselves, and some of them have been that way over a decade. Okay? It's a real problem. And then when it comes to divorce, and it happens, okay, there's a whole list of issues there. There's not good support for that, not good advice, not good management. Sometimes, well, just go to the court and do your thing. Well, what if shaitan is between us and we're trying to kill each other in court? Where is the real support system, and then the follow-up? Okay, how do we get you back on your feet and get you back into married life again, as soon as possible, in a time that's good for you at your pace when you're ready. But there's no system for it.